It is June 28, 1914. The streets of Sarajevo are alive with anticipation and ceremony. Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary, heir to a vast empire, rides through the city in an open carriage. The people line the streets, some waving, some watching in tense silence. Among them moves a young man, Gavrilo Princip, a member of a nationalist group seeking independence for Serbia. A shot rings out. Time seems to freeze. The Archduke and his wife fall. A single moment, 2 bullets, and a world teetering on the edge suddenly tips. The assassination is not the sole cause of war, but it is the spark that lights the tinderbox. Austria-Hungary demands answers from Serbia. When Serbia's response does not satisfy the empire, Austria-Hungary declares war on July 28, 1914. Alliances, so carefully woven over decades, begin to unravel. Russia, protector of Slavic nations including Serbia, mobilizes its army. Germany, allied to Austria-Hungary, sees Russia's movement as a threat and declares war on Russia. France, allied with Russia, is drawn in. Germany invades Belgium to reach France, violating Belgium's neutrality. Britain, protector of Belgium under treaty obligations, declares war on Germany. Within weeks, Europe is engulfed. Millions of soldiers march toward battlefields they have never seen. Ordinary citizens watch their sons, brothers, and husbands leave. The machinery of war begins to churn. The war settles into a grim pattern. On the Western Front, trenches stretch from the North Sea to the Swiss border. Mud, rats, and constant bombardment become the daily reality. Soldiers live in narrow, waterlogged ditches. The roar of artillery never ceases. Each morning, men climb out of their trenches to face barbed wire, machine guns, and the terrifying expanse of no man's land. The Eastern Front is more fluid, but just as deadly. Millions die in massive battles, facing hunger, disease, and the brutality of modern weaponry. New technologies, tanks, poison gas, airplanes, change the nature of conflict forever. Civilians suffer too as cities are bombarded and economies collapse under the strain of total war. Though the fighting began in Europe, the war soon spreads worldwide. Colonial empires draw soldiers and laborers from Africa, Asia, and the Pacific into a conflict they did not choose. On the seas, naval blockades attempt to starve nations into submission. Submarines strike merchant ships and supply lines stretch thin. The war is no longer local, it is global. Back home, civilians experience hardship and fear. Women enter factories to replace the men at the front. Food becomes scarce. Prices rise. Propaganda campaigns call for loyalty and sacrifice, sometimes exaggerating the enemy's threat. In cities across Europe, families wait anxiously for letters, for news, for any sign of survival. The human cost grows invisible in statistics, but each number represents lives interrupted, families destroyed, dreams cut short. Millions of soldiers die or return home permanently scarred. Major battles define the war. The Battle of the Somme, the Battle of Verdun, and others see unimaginable losses on both sides. Millions of soldiers die in offensives that advance mere miles. Diplomats meet in neutral cities, trying to negotiate peace, but mistrust and ambition prevent compromise. Meanwhile, the United States watches from across the Atlantic. Initially neutral, it is drawn in by submarine attacks and diplomatic provocations. In 1917, America declares war on Germany, tipping the balance. By late 1918, Germany and its allies are exhausted. Supplies run short, morale collapses. Civil unrest spreads at home. Soldiers desert the front, citizens protest in the streets. The empires that dominated Europe for centuries begin to crumble. On November 11, 1918, an armistice is signed. Guns fall silent across Europe. The world exhales. But the cost is immense. Over 16 million dead, tens of millions wounded, and entire societies shaken. The Treaty of Versailles in 1919 formally ends the war. Germany is forced to accept blame and pay reparations. Borders are redrawn. New nations emerge. Yet the treaty sows seeds of resentment that will later fuel another global conflict. The League of Nations is formed, intended to prevent future wars, but its authority is limited. Economies struggle. Families mourn. The world has learned, painfully, the total war leaves no one untouched. Close your eyes again, if you wish, and imagine a quiet battlefield after the guns have stopped. Imagine towns slowly rebuilding, children returning to school, people daring to hope. History is not only about dates and leaders, it is about the choices people make, the systems they create, and the lives affected by those decisions. Remember the cost, honor the memory, and let the lessons of the past guide the future.